Hey everyone, my name's Shane and I'm a big baseball fan. Welcome to 3 Up, 3 Down. In today's video, we are starting a brand new series right here on 3 Up, 3 Down. This brand new series is going to feature fantasy baseball. Today's video is going to be my fantasy baseball draft for the year, where I break it down pick by pick as to who I selected. And in the next video, we have a surprise brand new guest to 3 Up, 3 Down, and I will compete against that person's fantasy baseball draft through the year. We're going to see who does better. We'll break it down at different points of the year, see who's leading the way in their respective league, and see who can come out on top in the end with the best team this year in fantasy baseball. It's going to be a lot of fun, so make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel so that you know every time one of these videos comes up, and you can follow this series throughout the year as we have some fun in fantasy baseball. So we're going to jump right into here. I'm going to break down the first round and my pick in the draft. And then we're going to break down each pick of mine through the draft, having some fun while we go, talking baseball. In the end, you'll get a chance to see my full squad. And in the next video, so make sure you subscribe to the channel. In the next video, my surprise guest will be featured in their draft. And we'll see who wins in the end. So for today, let's jump right into my fantasy draft. I've got the number 4 pick here, so just taking a look at some of the players at the top here. Looks like Yahoo's got Trey Turner, Jose Ramirez, Bo Bichette, Juan Soto, Vlad Guerrero, top 5 in their rankings. So we're sure to get one of those players. It is a standard Yahoo draft, so we're looking at for position players that are going to be competing in runs, home runs, RBIs, stolen bases, and batting average. And then with the pitchers, of course, we'll be featuring wins, saves, Ks, ERA, and WHIP on a head-to-head basis against someone. Of course, this is my first baseball draft, fantasy baseball draft of the year. I will be competing against someone else, a special guest to the channel, who will be doing their fantasy baseball draft soon. And then we'll have a bit of a competition to see between who, myself, and my opponent finishes in a higher spot to have a win. So be sure to check out that video because their draft will be coming up soon. It'll likely be the next video after this one. Just note this is being recorded on, what are we looking at, April 1st. My opponents will be filmed later as well. So if these videos come out after opening day, just know that opening day, this was all filmed before opening day. So I will talk my way through the picks here as best I can as they come up. Like I said, I've got the number 4 pick, which I'm really liking right now. I will see where this goes for right now, but right now I think Trey Turner is a pretty obvious number 1 pick in terms of batting average, steals, and all that will go along with him. And we'll kind of see where the draft goes from there. I put a few players up that I like along the side in my queue to keep an eye on. I really like the starters for the White Sox. Michael Kopech and Dylan Cease. I think those are 2 pretty good players this year. Cease is ranked a little bit higher, so we'll see what happens there. Mike Clevenger is a guy to keep in mind. Guy for the Padres last year coming off of Tommy John surgery, but it was an excellent starter for Cleveland for all those years. So I'll see if I can maybe pick him up later. We'll see what the draft goes. Sandy Alcantara is a big starting pitcher for the Marlins I like. Oh, we're going to get some information here. And Hunter Green is a sleeper along the way too, who's already been announced has made the team. So I'll kind of talk through my strategy a little bit. I tend to hit position players hard early on. I did try last year a draft where I went pitcher heavy early, and yeah, I busted big time. Just today, actually, was announced that Jacob deGrom is out for the first 4 weeks of the season with shoulder tightness, so we will not be looking at that. Ronald Acuna Jr. is missing upwards of a month, maybe a little bit more to start the year, so that may be a tough play as well. And Fernando Tatis is out for the first 2 to 3 months as well. So those would be players that we are normally be up near the top of this draft. So I think that actually weakens the second round a little bit because I think guys will move up because of these slots. So we'll see what happens, and we'll kind of take it from there as we are 45-ish seconds away. Trey Turner goes number 1 overall, no shock there. I think number 2 is up for a lot more debate. Mookie Betts goes number 2. That's a shock. I don't expect that. So Jose Ramirez goes number 3. So that puts us on the clock. I'm just taking a quick look down to see who's kind of ranked in the area that I'm looking for in the second round, as it is a snake draft up and back. Just looking at that, For me, Bo Bichette's a very good choice here in terms of steals and average and everything that goes along with it. But for me personally, I got to go best player overall. And Juan Soto may not have the steals, but he will have the average. He's going to have the home runs. He's going to have the RBIs. He's the best hitter in baseball right now. I don't think there's much question about that. So I'm actually going to go Juan Soto here. Vlad could go as well, but I like a couple other first basemen later. So we're going Juan Soto first pick. Expect the Jays guys to go here right after Bo and Vlad. I am a Jays fan, but in fantasy, you got to kind of take that out of your mind. But I like Juan Soto with my first pick. There goes Vlad. I expect Bo probably next. Bryce just goes number 6, which is a little surprising to me because Bo is still sitting there. Someone is going to get a very good value in Bo Bichette here at number 7 or maybe even 8. We'll see what happens. Garrett Cole. I don't like Garrett Cole this year. Baseball's come out saying they're going to be looking at that spider tack stuff more again. I don't know if Cole's involved in that as much or not, but his numbers dipped last year when they were going after him. So we will see there. There goes Bo. He goes number 8. Someone got a lot of value there. I like Bo. I don't want to chase steals, and I think Juan Soto. Juan Soto is a better spot in the lineup now with Nelson Cruz in that Nationals lineup. Freddie Freeman goes. That's not a bad choice there, but there's a lot of depth at first base, so we'll see. Mike Trout goes number 10. That's obviously in Yahoo rankings is a reach, but if Mike Trout stays healthy, that's obviously a massive, massive pick. Yeah, that's a lot of value there coming in at number 10. And Corbin Burnes follows it up. So Corbin Burnes is probably one of the few starters I might look at in the first round. However, innings worry with him. He doesn't throw as many innings as some of the top guys. Not to say Corbin Burnes isn't a top guy, just he throws a fewer innings. Kyle Tucker, very, very underrated hitter, very nice hitter. Good choice there. Shohei Ohtani's tough this year too as a batter, but the new rules coming in, Ohtani's going to get more at bats, so he could be a really, really good player this year. Devers goes, there's Ohtani. I think someone gets a lot of value there in Ohtani. Really, really good batter who's going to get more at bats, obviously, this year, the current MVP. Only getting the batting side of him there, though. So my pickup here, taking a look, Jacob deGrom has been hurt. Luis Robert, Ozzie Albies, the switch hitter. Starling Marte, those are the Mets. Shane Bieber's coming back after a lot of injuries last year as well. Tim Anderson's day just because of the suspension, I believe. And Xander Bogaerts, Matt Olson. So I get a couple picks here. Obviously, adding to Juan Soto, I'd like to pick up a little bit of speed here and continue with the average theme. I really like the upside this year of Luis Robert. I love the White Sox team this year and on the chances. So I'm going to go on some of the potential here. Yes, I'm doing 2 outfielders, but I believe I can fill in my middle infield a little bit later. So we're going to take Luis Robert with our second pick. So at this point in time, I am going to start filling in a starting pitcher because I think my next 2 picks are going to be hitters as potential as well. So I like Lucas Giolito of the White Sox. Projected 205 Ks, had a 201 last year, 3.53 ERA. If he gets down to that 3 ERA, that'd be fantastic. I think he'll pick up some more wins this year with the White Sox in that division. So we're going Lucas Giolito. Feel very good about that for his top starter. Will add a lot of innings, a lot of consistency. So the last 2 picks there were Marcus Semien and Jose Altuve. Neither are players that I was leaning towards. I'm leaning towards Castellanos, Alcantara, Riley, and Franco. I didn't realize that Wander Franco was going to have third base availability, and third base is a weaker offensive position in terms of depth. So this leaves me a little bit of a conundrum. I really like Alcantara as a starter. I could add there. But I think there's more starters depth available, and you can always find starters in the free agents later in the year. Castellanos really intrigues me as well. He may slip, so I'm going to fill my third base spot with last year's breakout in Austin Riley. With Matt Olson coming over to the Braves, it just keeps that lineup very long, and I think Austin Riley is going to continue to succeed in Atlanta. So I'm going to fill my third base spot with Austin Riley. So leading there, we had George Springer, Chris Bryant, and then Wander Franco. I was going to go Wander Franco there if he's available. Sadly, he's not. I have limited interest at Alberto Mondesi because of the injuries that he seems to always have. Austin Riley can play first or third, so first base is kind of covered for me right now. I was hoping to get offense here, but I don't see the type of offense that I'm looking for. And looking down, I don't want to reach for someone yet.
So I'm going with my best player available right now. DeGrom too early, but I'm going to go Sandy Alcantara, who last year 201 Ks in 205 innings, a 3.19 ERA and a 107 WHIP. That pairs very, very nicely with Lucas Giolito. Both are in the running for AL and NL Cy Young awards this year, to be sure. So I really like the top two starters I picked up. I would like to fill some infield here. So we're looking here. Kevin Gausman just goes, as well as Corey Seager. See, I was down to two choices there. I was either going to go Seager or Jazz Chisholm. Jazz Chisholm is a player that I really like. Last year, he put up, where we're looking, 22 home runs, 21 steals. Not a big average, but with Juan Soto and Luis Robert there adding some average to us, we can afford a little bit of dip in average. So I'm going to add the second baseman shortstop in Jazz Chisholm Jr. So we just had a few players go. Will Smith, the catcher, is gone from me, as well as JT Realmuto. Max Fried just went. I'm very much looking at a couple starters here again. I don't love saying that, but that is the reality. I don't feel like stretching for Brian Reynolds at this moment. He would be another player that interests me in this spot. Frankie Montas is tough because you don't know if he stays in Oakland, the fantasy value is going to go down. But he's traded, obviously, it goes up. Zach Wheeler is dealing with a bit of an injury as well, and he's actually going to make his spring debut soon. So he's actually a player that could look in another round if he's still hanging on there. But for right now, I am looking at Dylan Cease. I don't love Jonathan India just because of the Reds teardown. So we are going to go starter here again. And it's Cease or Webb. I decided to go with Logan Webb. Just a little more consistency, I think, in terms of ERA and WHIP is what I'm looking at there in Webb over Cease. I really like Dylan Cease still, but something about Logan Webb tells me that the ERA and WHIP I expect to be better for Logan Webb because of the walks. Dylan Cease walks a lot of batters. If he brings that down, I may have made a huge mistake, but I'm going to go with my gut here in this one and say that Logan Webb's consistency in the zone is really going to help. And the Giants have a very solid team with potential for some more wins. But we've gone Logan Webb. Alex Bregman goes. That could be a very good pick given his history. And then Anthony Rendon. So we see a couple of third basemen go with all. The starters, relievers, and third baseman. We're already filled in at third. I'm still looking for another first baseman here in a bit. But for me, the pick right now, Jorge Polanco, second base, shortstop eligibility last year, 33 home runs, 98 RBIs. The 270 average fits nice. I'll add a couple steals in there for you as well. Just a real good value pick, I believe, for me right now. And we're going to add him in the middle of the lineup with Jazz Chisholm Jr., and we'll have our second base shortstops who both have eligibility both ways. That really fits well in case of injury. So we're going to go with Polanco. So I'm just checking in here on Max Muncy's injury. And as I'm looking here, because I'm really interested in Max Muncy of filling our first base spot, it looks like it's questionable whether he's going to be ready for opening day or not. But if not, he should be not far behind. So I really like the thought of adding Max Muncy here. Potential 30 home run, close to 100 RBI guy. So I'm really liking Max Muncy in this spot, which lets us move Austin Riley back to that third base spot. And more importantly, it keeps a little bit of interest here as a second baseman spot for Muncy. So that fits in very nice. When we're looking here, I'm thinking towards a couple players here. Don't love the relief market as Jake McGee. He's probably one guy I may have leaned towards, although I don't know if he ends up being the closer the full year in San Francisco. There's a few guys on here that consider reaching a bit for, not yet for Willie Adames or Mike Clevenger. We could look at catcher, but overall, I want to add some more pop. We've got some home run guys. I want to keep adding to that thought. We are going to be the biggest average team, but Juan Soto will definitely help us out there. So I like the thought of both Austin Meadows. I like the thought of Rhys Hoskins and Ryan Mountcastle. And when it comes down to it, we are going to lean a little bit towards Rhys Hoskins just in terms of that lineup. So I'm going to go with Rhys Hoskins. Adds another player to that first base, third base, or first base mix, as well as utility, and which is going to add some more home runs to our team, which I think is going to really help. Again, I don't love the batting average, but that home run RBI potential in that lineup for Philadelphia is such a big thing that I'm just going to stick with my guy, in this case, Rhys Hoskins. And looking at what's left here, there's a lot of corner infielders that I'm not looking for at the moment. Willy Adames at shortstop may be interesting. I'm going to take a bit of a flyer on a guy who missed so much time, missed all of last year with Tommy John. But Mike Clevinger is back and healthy. And if Mike Clevinger can be the guy that he was in Cleveland, I think this is going to make and break me. So we are going to pick up Mike Clevinger from the San Diego Padres. I think projection 115 innings there is kind of hit and miss with the Tommy John surgery. We'll see what he can put up. But I like the potential there. If he can put up 150 innings, that might really help me. Okay, our pickup now. Matt Barnes has just gone. Joe Barlow to Texas. Yoan Moncada. So I am looking here again at reliever because I think the last bit of run is going here. The player I'm looking at, Corey Knebel, pitched very well for the Dodgers, particularly in the playoffs last year. He's now in Philadelphia, projected at 21 saves. The ERA I don't love. 73 Ks I would love in projection. What I really like about Corey Knebel, though, is if he is hurt in Philadelphia, you've got a pretty good idea who's going to fill in for him. It's either going to be Yours Familia, former Met reliever, or Brad Hand. So if something happens to the Knebel, I'm going to be jumping on that waiver wire and picking up his replacement very quickly. So I like Knebel if he's healthy, but I know who the backups are, so I stick with Knebel to fill in that other relief spot to pick up saves to go along with Kenley Jansen. And so that's where we're going to make things up. Okay, our picks is up now. We saw Tarek Skubal, Michael Brantley, and Devin Williams go. Kind of in a funny spot here right now. There's a pitcher, Michael Kopech, I really like here, but I'm real afraid we're going to have a run on catchers. And there's one that I really, really like this year. I really like Tyler Stevenson. He hits for a very nice average. He was spelled a lot with Tucker Barnhart last year, but Tucker Barnhart's been moved out to Detroit. So Stevenson will get even more games. The young catcher here, I really like the average that he puts up. He has some pop. He's going to drive in some runs. He's going to bat towards the middle of that Cincinnati lineup after a bit of reconstruction there. It's going to be a weaker lineup, but I do like what Tyler Stevenson offers me in a catcher spot. So I'm going to bring in Tyler Stevenson. And as Aaron Civale goes in Cleveland, he has lasted. If you want to see someone who can get absolutely red hot for an extended period of time, look no further than Lourdes Gurriel Jr., first base outfield potential of the Blue Jays. That is the type of guy I'm looking for at this time. Look at his second half last year. It's absolutely unreal. His first half was miserable. He had some changes in his swing. He backed off the plate, and those are seeming to carry through in the spring training as well. So I'm going to go with Lourdes Gurriel Jr. If he sticks in that 5 or 6 spot in the Blue Jays lineup, he's got a lot of potential there for some RBIs too. We hit our pick. We've kind of had to throw a bit of a curveball in this round. I've lost some of the guys I was really looking forward to here. Kind of scrambling a little bit, to be honest, right now. We do have some players on our queue that I'm interested in, so we may just go with that. In fact, that is what we're going to do. I really like AJ Pollock, who just came over to the White Sox in a deal today, and him fitting in the lineup, get more at bats this year. Nice average hitter, has some pop, some RBIs. So we're going to go with AJ Pollock as a utility guy. I'm going to have to search for my starting pitching. Years all got taken on me right there. I had Kopech. I was thinking potentially Syndergaard, and Marcus Stroman was kind of my backup idea, and they all went in about 4 picks there. So we scrambled a little bit. I don't mind though picking up AJ Pollock. I think he's going to play a lot more in Chicago, potentially bat near the top of that lineup with Tim Anderson, which I'd really like to see. So we got our pick coming up next here. It's now our pick, in fact. So I'm looking definitely at starting pitcher. There's some guys that I really like out there that I've found that are going to be a bit of a reach teams right now. But I'm going to start off with Cal Quantrill. I really like Quantrill's potential here still. From top prospect who finally kind of figured it out in Cleveland last year, 150 innings, 2.89 ERA. Why he's projected at 124, not totally sure. I can't find anything about injury-related ability here, so I can't see why he can't reach that 150 innings as well. A weaker division, so I like Quantrill here in this spot and have some more strikeout potential to our team as well, and I really like his potential ERA. So we are going to take Cal Quantrill. Gene Segura is a very interesting player, though, that I'm just seeing now. I am definitely intrigued in what Gene Segura could do. And given that both our middle infielders could have that second base shortstop potential, I'm going to hold off on Segura for this pick because I want to fill out my starting rotation as Bailey Ober is still there. I just talked to him. So I'm going to go with the big righty. I worry about the home runs he gives up, but I'm sticking with the potential of Bailey Ober in the Twins rotation this year. Okay, got a pick here in round number 19. I did look into Gene Segura, but I just thought of him hitting too far down in that Phillies lineup. If he was to play the top of the lineup or the second spot in that lineup, I'd be much more intrigued. For now, though, I am going to change up my original thought, and I'm going to go with a bench bat here for myself that I think has a huge potential. I'm going to use these last few rounds a little bit more for potential, and Alex Kirilloff is that big-time prospect. Hasn't really found it yet in the majors, but I really like his upside, and a first base outfielder fits in very well for me. They project him at 17 home runs. I could see 20 to 25 home runs with that 280 average easily. I'm going to go with Alex Kirilloff, the Minnesota Twins. Now it is our pick. Gio Urshela just goes, I have kind of rethought this thing now that Gene Segura is still sitting there, and that just adds that depth in middle infield that I really would like here. I just can't say no to Gene Segura here. He very well can make his way to that top of the lineup with the Phillies. And if he's at the top of the lineup, he will be in my lineup every day because that potential for scoring runs and a nice batting average. I rethought this. We are going to go with Gene Segura here. I thought about a couple rounds ago, didn't like the value, but now I really like the value and the potential here, especially in that runs category. So we're going with Gene Segura. So it is our pick. So it is definitely time to take Dinelson Lamet. And obviously he's someone who we can drop if he's not getting the type of production out of the bullpen that we thought. But I really think there is that potential. And I want to see what happens with the Padres bullpen. And I want to see how Dinelson Lamet fits in there. So we are going with Lamet here. Okay, our pick here, with our last two picks, can be pretty close to back-to-back. I am loving the potential of Hunter Greene. He is still available there. I'm going to use him as a bit of a spot starter through the year and see what he can produce early on, especially love the swing and miss potential. Rookie, so you never know what you're going to get, but I'm going to take a shot on Hunter Greene here late in the draft. We're one pick away from our last pick here in the draft, round 23. We're just waiting for that one to come through. If he's available, it's going to be Jo Adell for me. I took a look at the catchers list. There's still a lot of really good catchers out there that compare pretty favorably to Alejandro Kirk. I want to see if this plays out in Toronto. I really like Tyler Stevenson. So if something does happen to him, I still have the potential of picking up a pretty decent catcher. If you take a look at the catchers list, we have Carson Kelly's a nice catcher. I like Elias Diaz in Colorado is very underrated, especially if he's playing a lot of home games. Alejandro Kirk, obviously. Omar Narvaez can be a very steady catcher as well. And Austin Nola in San Diego. So there are some catchers there. And actually James McCann, who had a really down year last year, is another good catcher offensively as well for the Mets. So there's a lot of potential there still for catcher. So I'm going to let that pass. And I like the thought of having Jo Adell on the team. If he's swinging a hot bat out of spring training, he might carry that into the season. And if he does, he's got that speed potential. He could be a guy with regular playing time who could get 20, 25 stolen bases and hit 20, 25 home runs. And if I get a 20-20 guy with my last pick in the draft, I'm going to take that all day. So we're going to add Jo Adell to our bench as well. And that will leave us in a very good position for outfielders, I believe, as well, because that one more depth pick. So Jo Adell has been added to the team. That is it. So we're going to take a look at our team. It says we don't have a third baseman. We know Austin Riley is going to fit in third base. Max Muncy moves into first base, or potentially Rhys Hoskins. Doesn't matter. AJ Pollock then will fill into that extra utility spot. And we've got then a bench including Alex Kirilloff, Gene Segura, Jo Adell, Dinelson Lamet, and Hunter Greene. So looking at the lineup team, I really like the thought of Tyler Stevenson, very good catcher. Austin Riley is going to build on his production last year. Jazz Chisholm, the middle of the infield, 20-20 guy all day. Love that thought. Jorge Polanco, 25 home run potential. Definitely had it last year. He was upwards of, remember correctly, 30, 33 last year, close to 100 RBIs. Love that for my shortstop position. Juan Soto is going to mash. Doesn't matter if they're 32 or not. He's going to be on base all day long. Going to have a big time chance of winning the NL batting title. I really wish that Yahoo would go to on base percentage rather than batting average as their go-to. We'll take it as it is. Luis Robert, I love the potential of Luis Robert in that lineup in Chicago. He's got a chance to really, really go off this year. A very underrated potential MVP candidate people have talked about. So loving the thought of Luis Robert. Lourdes Gurriel can be one of the hottest and streakiest hitters around, so I love that potential there. Max Muncy at first, fourth, second base, 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. Maybe not the best batting average, but definitely a guy who can produce. Rhys Hoskins in that lineup in Philly, hopefully in about fifth or sixth spot in their lineup. Again, another guy who can hit 30 home runs. Not the best average again, but 30 home run potential. Love that thought. AJ Pollock going over the White Sox now, I think increases his fantasy value. 20 home runs just about guaranteed. Maybe get 10 to 15 steals from him as well. That 280, 290 batting average would be very nice. On the bench, then we have Alex Kirilloff, big potential there. Gene Segura, just kind of a nice fit, a depth pick. Not maybe the flashiest guy, but if someone gets hurt, definitely can fill in for me. And Joe Adell, the potential we talked about. Starting pitching staff, Lucas Giolito, love the thought. Lucas Giolito, potential Cy Young candidate, as well as Sandy Alcantara with the Miami Marlins. Both 200 strikeout guys. You can just about bank on it. Closers, Kenley Jansen, chance of 30 to 40 saves, very low ERA with Atlanta. Corey Knebel has some risk, but as I talked about, I don't mind the injury risk because I know who would fill in for him, and I can pick him up on the waiver wire. So I feel confident in Corey Knebel. Logan Webb, starter for the Giants. Again, another guy, that 200 strikeout potential, low ERA, maybe even the low threes. Love that thought. Mike Clevinger coming back from Tommy John. If he can get healthy and pitch like he did in Cleveland, this is a win all day in my books. He was a Cy Young candidate in the American League with Cleveland. Love this pick. Cal Quantrill, now in Cleveland. Again, not the strongest division. 150 innings last year. Let's see if he can build on that this year. Maybe not the biggest strikeout potential, but I love the ERA whip potential here with Kyle Quantrill. So I like him. Bailey Ober throws a lot of strikes. The whip will come down, I think, this year, as he's always in the zone. Gives up more home runs than I like, but for one of my bottom starters, I like the thought. Nelson Lamet, maybe he fits in as a potential reliever with the Padres this year and maybe picks up some saves and some Ks along the way. He's got some filthy stuff. He could be their closer. I think it would be an awesome fit for the Padres. So I'm taking a bit of a flyer onto Nelson Lamet. And then the last one, a flyer on the rookie Hunter Green in the NL Central, where the lineups don't scare me as much. I really like the thought of fitting in Hunter Green here and there. Big time fastball. Love the potential here for strikeouts. So he's starting day in the rotation, day one in Cincinnati. So they got a lot of faith in him this year. So I'll be tracking him closely. Overall, really like the team. Projected standings, I'm actually projected towards the bottom. I'm okay with that because I've taken some flyers and some guys that didn't have the projected stats. And you can always find guys in the waiver wire to fill out kind of the bottom rotation and that. And there's going to be injuries along the way. So I'm pretty comfortable with this team. I like the potential. If some of these guys hit, I think a real chance of making playoffs and finishing in that top six. And then you go from there. If I have injuries and some of these guys don't pan out, it may be a bit of a shock, but I'm going to take a bit of a hit this time. So this lineup and this team will go against a competitor who will draft their team in the next couple days. Surprise for the video. You won't know who it's going to be, but I will be competing against that person as well. We'll see who finishes the better in their league, and we'll take it from there. So until next time, take care, everyone.